Hey everyone, it's Coeval here. Today I'm going to showcase 3 Grassy games that I have been involved in on my road to 2000 rating, and the point of this video today is to just talk all about Consume Soul. Its strengths, its weaknesses, how to play against it, how to get owned by it, and if it needs a buff or a nerf, and kind of what the state of the spell is, what other people think of it, and where it might end up going. What's the future of the spell like? So I've got 3 games here to showcase, like I said. A couple are versus not pros, who's clearly not pros, and then also I have one against Arya that I'll show. And in these games, I use Consume Soul myself, and so you can get an idea for what books it is good against, how to potentially counter it if possible. In some instances, usually if you know about it beforehand, that your opponent has it, it's much easier to counter, but that's true with a lot of spells. So here, pros goes for a drain. I kind of position myself so that he would do something that is basically a Q. A better move would have probably been to portal right side, and that way he can go through the portal to the right to set up his flight prot. Instead he goes for the drain. I'm still in Ray positioning, which is not the most ideal, but I know that it's not going to lose me the game at this point. I kind of want to stay top to be aggressive, and that way I can force pros to be on the back foot and make a move. So here he is not really on the back foot, but he has to respond. Otherwise I'll clock him, and he goes for the mud ball. And so we get into this kind of awkward, typical situation where we're in 2 clock towers, and I'm probably just outside of Consume Soul range, which the way the spell works is basically, and I'll bring it up once when I first use it, but it's a giant summon circle. It does 30 base damage and an additional 15 damage for each dispellable effect that the player has. This includes flight and also effects like gravity, protection shield, wind shield, storm shield, fusion, and things of that nature. So I wasn't quite in range for consume in that tower up on the mud ball, and you can see where he tellied over as I zoomed out to the right side of the map. And so instead of consuming him there, I just go to the left side to set up my flight prot and then portal. And so you'll see me do that here. I'm at 100 prot, and I am decently ahead as far as protection shields go. As far as the game in general goes, I would say it's probably about even, because you can see he just protection shielded there to 85. So I'm not massively ahead. He's got a swarm. We're similar in prots. I'd say I have better map positioning, which is good. And here I may want to try and flash out that tree in order to access the portal the following turn. So if you don't know, tree basically glues to land, and if you flash it out from the land, it'll drop. And the thing is that you have to be careful of is if you flash out, like if I flashed out there when I'm in the tree here, right, then if the tree's still alive, it would just fall on me, and so it wouldn't move. So there he gates out of the burning sands, and I'll show my book, but basically it's Drain Bolt. Instead of Drain Bolt, I have Consume Soul, and then instead of Mech Arrow and Aura of Decay, I have Burning Sands and Sandy Shores, which is like that Maelstrom type spell, but sand, and you click, point and click, and it does 50 damage if the player is low enough to the ground. So here I am looking pretty solid. I've got my portal set up, and he's also got a bunch of prots, but I think I've got a little bit of an advantage due to my portal setup and just having a little bit more space. Pros knows it's here, so he's going to flash out. I'm not really sure at this point what is the point of flashing out all this space. Maybe he's worried about me clicking on the sand on rotation. If you click the sand, you have to actually click it, then the Burning Sands does 30 per tick rather than 15. But I didn't know that you had to click it for the longest time, and so I was just using the spell and basically nerfing myself. So maybe he's trying to avoid being around the sand, but again, he's got this area here to the left as well. So not sure why he spent that extra turn to flash, but I understand it just from a wanting to have space to maneuver standpoint. I guess instead of flashing, he could go for a portal, go aggro, except that's not something that pros typically likes to do. He likes to kind of hole up in his own little area and build up his prots first. And here I'm angling at this point to get a consume soul off, and I anticipate he doesn't know I have it. I haven't revealed anything, and generic is very, Underdark heavy. Necro's a new book. It's not really anticipated that I might have that spell. So if he gets maybe within probably this range, and I'll show it once I use the spell, then I can just consume off, what would that be, 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 30, so 75 of his prots I can consume off. And then the crazy thing is there's a 2-turn cooldown, so I can consume off 75 of his prots right here, and then 2 turns later consume 60 more of his prots off. And that's all but 5 of his prot. So that's just insane. There it's possible that I could have gone in the aura and consumed, but then he comes through and clocks me. So I decided to take a more measured approach, and then I Q. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to be able to go through this little area there, but I just messed up my movement, hit that top of that tree, and just blundered. But as far as Qs go, it's not the most punishing. So I'm able to position myself decently so that he can't clock back, and I get the consume soul off. And I was hit with a very cryptic classic after I hit that. And so he prots again, and I'm just going to mudball and reconsume. And I'll get a chance to show you now what the range is on that. You can see pretty wide summon circle. I do not know a spell that has this wide of a summon circle in the game. And the thing is, he could be even outside. Part of him could be outside of the area. Look at, I can go to the very edge of him and click. So if he just has like his piece of clothing on his back in the summon circle, I'm able to click it as long as it's inside this range. So this is what we're looking to nerf. By we, I don't mean the devs, the mods. I mean, as a community, is one option that has been discussed to nerf this giant summon circle. And Usman, one of the admins, has been looking to experiment with, okay, what if we cut this range, this radius by half, or maybe by a quarter, and could that help balance the spell a bit? So that's something that is in the process of being discussed right now. And I think the 2-turn cooldown is also quite oppressive. As you can see, he built up, took 35 turns to build up 150 prot, and then in the matter of 2 turns, I just say, thank you very much. I'm going to take that. So now it's a matter of closing. Closing is hard. Every part of the game in 7G is hard. But in this position, I have to figure out exactly how am I going to close. And here, the nice thing is I have a portal already up. So if he trees it, I just move to a different area and I reportal. And then he only has aura to block that portal. So I just go through this, and I know that when he trees it, I can gate away, reportal, and he, in fact, okay, I don't think he was trying to block the portal. I was going to say miss, but that's not really a miss. He knew that it was going to drop, but he just wanted to block off the pebble angle, and so I have to move out of the portal as a result, stay just barely out of the burning sands there, and then repebble. And so I'm just getting a few pebbles in, and remember, if he is defensive and goes for a prot, then I can always just kind of position myself so that he can't get a direct mud or clock off, and then consume soul for a bunch of damage, removing his protection shields. I show some speed there, get a clock off, and he's not quite able to aim the mud. Again, just applying some pressure to put him into a difficult position, so he has some trouble responding. And here we're looking pretty good. Flashing out here is probably good. Towering is good. Consume Soul wouldn't be that great, even though I'm up a bunch of health. It's probably fine, but it's not, I think, optimal, to use a very technical term. If we're going to be playing optimally, then I don't think Consume Soul's good. So here I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can just deflight, or detower and push. So I Pebble. Now he's in Mega range. He was at 100 too, but you know, sometimes you never know with Mega. I have not had too many instances of it doing like 96 or 97. I don't think it really works like that. Here, I don't know why I panicked and I thought, I can't really deal with that swarm. I could just Consume Soul it, but instead I tried to Pebble. It just in my mind, I just forgot, wait, Consume Soul you can kill a swarm with, you just don't heal off it, but it acts like Drain. And so I was a little bit hasty with that. Maybe just got anxious. I was like, oh shoot, I don't have Drain, what do I do? And so I blundered a bit. Here again I can consume the Spirit as well, but I'm thinking, oh no, right now in my mind when I'm playing this game, I'm thinking, well, I don't have Drain, so I can't kill that. That sucks. But again, working to apply a little bit of pressure. He gets a nice aura stack off there, that's a good move. He put the Spirit on me, and then anything that's below a minion or a player, when you cast aura on it, it'll stack, which means it'll do double damage. So you can see I went from 50 to 20 prot there. But yeah, my 3 to 5 turn plan is to close the gap here in any way I can, and then Consume Soul him and win the game. So I'm going to do that. There I'm able to go through because that was his aura, and now he has to retreat. And unfortunately he falls into the water. Probably something that wasn't preventable unless maybe he could have high jumped and made it. But he thought probably he was going to teleport anyway, jumped to just see maybe he would make it, and didn't quite make it. So he goes down to the bottom of the map. I shores for 50 damage. If the opponent is too high, then it won't do 50. It can in some cases do 0 or maybe 5 damage. So that's one way to kind of be aware of shores, is to position yourself probably about a bit lower where this portal is. Like if you're up here where I'm pinging, then you'll be safe from shores. So you can position yourself a little bit more mid-map-ish, kind of like you would do against a comic book, where you make space in the middle of the map here, one of the middle sides, to protect yourself from Comet. And so yeah, I'm just spamming Pebbles at this point, getting so much tempo with Consume. And again, I could consume his swarms if needed, but the best way to, I think, play a swarm book is to ignore the swarms, to rush down, and I get the Pebble there in 7 seconds. That was a pretty fast turn. I had like half a second left to click that Pebble. Maybe got a little bit lucky, but locked in to get some speed, and we'll get right into game 2. Be right back. Alright, here we are back with game 2. I'm up against Arya, and if you enjoyed game 1 and enjoy these commentaries, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and we are on the road to 1K subscribers. Always appreciate the support that I've been getting, so thank you guys so much. And with that being said, we are playing Arya here, and look at that speed! I can't increase my actual speed in the game, but I've got 7 seconds. I was going as fast as I could, get this flash off barely, with like half a second, and take away Arya's prot. So, in a vacuum, this should be a win. Easy win? I'm not so sure. Get this Pebble off to set up a second Pebble. That's decent, not perfect, but there's not a ton that I could do that's super optimal. Okay, here I'm playing a rush book, which I will put on the screen for you all. This is a rush book plus consume, which you'll be able to see how potent this type of mix is. This is not the typical, I say typical, but it's not really typical. This is a new update, but the book that uses consume and generic. It's not that book, it's a different book. So my goal here is to just pressure as much as possible. Flash that out. Yep, keep the pressure on, always threaten to do damage. And when she moves here, what's my move? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to figure that out. Imagine Jeopardy music in your head. I will not hum it. Alright, so the move is, surprise, consume soul, goodbye. I like those little bubbles. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head what cosmetic that is. I should know it because I am a staff member, but I don't. But it's cool. So here, I'm once again above Arya, pressuring from above, and in a great position. Good advantage, up a bunch of prot. I do the BFTP there, it just kind of helps guide the pebbles down and ensures that they just don't deflect off of that angled piece of land and not really go where I want them to. So I just set that up because I know, okay, I'm up a lot and I want to use BFTPs when I get the chance. Get the use out of them if you have them in your book, right? And I'm so far up that I don't think I would need them later to save me from a potentially, difficult situation where I'm down a bunch of tempo. And so I'm just lobbing some pebbles, chasing, and all you really need in some cases is one consume soul to sink your opponent and then be able to continue to apply pressure. Now that being said too, there is a way to play it, which is just to know, okay, I need to keep my distance. One option is obviously to not play generic, because generic is in some ways difficult. It's difficult to keep that distance, especially with the sides of Grassy. They don't have a lot of room. There's not a lot of space there. So it's easy to just pebble down and look, now I'm already in basically consume range. If Arya had a bunch of prot, I could easily take it with a point and click spell. So that's the only thing that's difficult, is being able to stay outside of that consume range. It is possible though, as long as you have to try to anticipate it though. There I think was a Q, and I'm not sure what happened with the pebble shot. That looked kind of like a bug, but anyway, I don't remember exactly what happened there, but Arya goes for the mud ball, misses the mud ball. That's a bit of a tough angle. And here, again, I could just consume that, but instead I go for a mud. That probably helps Arya, but I figure I'm going to pebble down the following turn. So yeah, kind of interesting that I didn't think about consume as a 25 damage spell. I always just thought of it as something that takes prots away. so yeah. Here, Arya goes for the mud again. I position myself nicely to avoid that. Probably possible to hit me, but I just got lucky. And then misses for a second or third time. Just a little bit of bad luck there. I feel like definitely they're able to hit that. But then I tower out, and I'm still pressuring to come over around this way. Or just flash out, and I still can refly. So that doesn't really change the outcome of the game in this particular situation. And here I'll chase, but I blunder, and she's able to knock me off into the water after I gated. So that's not good. You come in on replays with the amount of health that doesn't take the penalty away for not having gate, but then it applies it after, so that's why I came in at 225 and then it went down to 140, because I didn't have gate. Now unfortunately, this is what makes Consume Soul so good, is that if you end up in a situation where there's not an area to maintain that space, or your opponent is good about pressuring, then Arya gets in a situation where they have to prot and they can't get out of that area. So I just shrooms here to get some health, and I consume into the water again. So what it does is, if your opponent pressures adequately, then they have a heal threat, they have a threat that takes away your flight and your prot, in some cases right after you use it, and then it's on cooldown for 5 turns. which is the main defensive capability of generic, and so that's why it can be so potent. And again, like I said, yes, it can be avoided. However, the summon range is still quite large, and the point in the Discord made by a lot of members is that it is point and click, which is pretty low effort. So thanks to this low effort spell, of course you saw a lot of skill in that game. As you could tell, I am able to get this win against Arya, and we will get right into game 3. Be right back. So we are here in game 3, once again up against not pros. And yeah, we'll see what happens in this game. I've got no recollection at this very moment what this game was like, and as I'm saying that, I realized that I actually brought a flightless book that I saw someone run, and I thought, ooh, this could be good against Pros' playstyle, so let me give it a try. And as we get through this game, I will try to explain what this flightless book does, what its strengths are. So the first thing I want to kind of do with consume, okay, I do have consume soul, is here I know I want to try to stay up at the top of the map. So he goes for a swarm. I just jump all the way over to him in 7 seconds, get this Mega Boulder off, and ooh, I miss it. But I can show you guys that that was a totally possible Mega Boulder. Oops, I went all the way in. Again, sorry about that, guys. That's probably not the most visually appealing thing that just happened there. But let me try to go and execute this. Okay, I'm going to have to do his turn. We're just going to fast forward just a little bit. Okay, he's going to summon his swarm, and then I'm going to jump in. And this isn't the book that I had. This is a flight book, the Consume Sands one. But I just have Mega to show you guys. So I did this all in 7 seconds. I'm slowing it down for the purpose of this video. And here I tossed this. I only had a second, so I missed it. Maybe I could do it better. Here, yes, you just get it on his head, slightly over. What happened is it bounced off of the top and then went down. So if I hit that, then it's literally game pretty much immediately, right there. Maybe not game, but I'm applying a bunch of pressure. He's going to have to teleport and set up. So, like I said, I'm trying this flightless book with Consume, and my goal here is to be as aggressive as possible and put pros in an uncomfortable situation. That wasn't the worst Mega that I've seen in the world, but being down a Mega is going to suck. So I've got the swarm out here, and I thought, oh, maybe I could get a nice water ball off, and that does quite a bit of damage. Gets him down 40 health, it looks like. And he double drains, but I was kind of baiting that because look at what I can do now, is get out and throw a Mega. And that is a picture-perfect drop, which again, lots of skill was expressed. And here I'm thinking, okay, actually I'm not as up as I would like to be. 150, he's got a swarm, but then I thought, wait, I've got this flightless mix, and it has 2 towers. So I can nullify swarm a bit with one particular tower that I'm going to show here soon. I decide to water ball, and now I'm in Mega range, so I have to use this particular tower, the Sanctuary. Nice thing about this is that it nullifies swarms, so saving me some damage. Now we're in a bit of a difficult situation here, which is that, okay, I water ball, and then he's going to respond with a pebble. And then it's like, okay, well, he's in a tower and I'm not, so and we're about the same health. So I'm down tempo. But I thought, let me just see if I can make this tricky for him and catch him off guard with a Consume if he ever tries to go on the defensive with the Prot Shield, because he still doesn't know I have it. Here he goes for the tree, maybe a little bit of a panic tree, not the worst move that I've seen in the world, but maybe a tree down here would have been better. to block off this area and this area. Sorry, the pings don't quite work when you pause, but this area and this area. But instead he trees to my right, and I'm able to still get the pebble angle off. So here I'm thinking, okay, now I can get in consume range, but unfortunately not quite in range. So I decide to sands, and I'm thinking, okay, bait him to the left. That way I can just have him walk into my consume range and I get a bunch of healing. And that's another thing that you can do as a consume player is bait your opponent to go closer to you so that you can surprise them with the point and click. And so he goes for the drain, and of course you guys know what's coming next. I'm going to go down there, and I'm not going to consume. I thought I was going to consume, but I decided damage would be better here, and dang, was it better. He goes all the way down to 49 health, and of course there's the sand there. That's going to hurt a lot. And this is getting spicy. 95 to 124, we're both in towers. He has a swarm up, but I'm thinking, okay, I have double tower, which is a little bit more defensive than his prot, because I can always counter his prot with the consume soul. We're both in mid map, which benefits me, rather than, he's on the right side with a portal or something. But then it's like, okay, how am I going to kill him? What is my 3-turn plan? And so in order to defeat him here, I decide to detower, sank up to nullify my swarms, his swarms, and again, that's like a non-turn here, because it's not going to do damage to me until he detowers. So again, the same trade-off from 10 turns ago. I water ball and he's going to pebble me. And here we'll see what I decide to do. I don't have many options. I know that I have 2 towers. That's why I could afford to water ball down, because I'm thinking, okay, I can get out of his range. I can detower and then retower. Or in this case, he pebbled me. So I did a little leap just to get further away from him and make that angle tricky for any sort of pebble action. He decides to take his time in the turn to move one of the swarms. Oh, excuse me. This game is not making me fall asleep. I, in fact, am recording this in the morning. I'd say I'd edit that out, but I probably won't. So we're here and sleepy, and I get the consume off, and then he misses the drain. Very unfortunate there. I don't know if that would have saved him, but the thing is, I don't have much that I can do in response. I want to try to avoid the swarms, because if he takes time to move them, then he may be more prone to blundering. The problem is I'm at about 1 second here, and I was trying to get there, but I didn't quite make it, and I wanted to go for a pebble angle. The ideal spot to be would be jump from here, or I guess it would be here, right there, to the top, just right above me. That way it's a more difficult spot to throw a mega, and he could clock, but he'd have to do 100. That's very highly unlikely. Instead, look where I land. Oh my gosh, I'm so screwed here. I'm right in a hole. Like, super easy to just lob that and win the game. We'll see what ends up happening here. So he's at 44 health. He does try to move down some of the swarms, but he's again only got 7 seconds. So he goes for the lob. As you can see, it looks pretty good. And okay, pretty perfect mega lob there, but just gets so unlucky here. This second part of that mega hits the right side, doesn't damage me. So what does that mean? That means that we're surviving. Luckily, I'm able to survive, and the spear lob. A bit of a difficult spell to aim, but I was able to hit that one and get the victory. If y'all enjoyed this video, please drop a like. Let me know what you think of Consume Soul in the comments. Buff, nerf, how to nerf. What do you think should be the future of the spell? What are you thinking of necromancy overall? And if you haven't seen that video where I do an overview of those spells, go check it out. I'll put a card in the top right at some point during this video if I remember, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Peace out.